on the double-decker experience with the first. Other spots, one is a rum tasting and another is a cheese and liquor tasting we'll also be doing. So this is St. Martin. We're just starting off.
The second street, back street, is where you need to keep your job for everything else.
We have a perfect weather day today. Just like you would think it would be in St. Martin.
Last stop today at the Amsterdam Cheese and Liquor Store.
I did secure a top seat on the top of the bus. My hair is blowing all over the place.
Going to pass by the Freedom Fighter roundabout. Phillipsburg has many sculptures representing St. Martin's past.
Turn it around so you can see here.
Standing with his head high and unshackled hands clenched and fist raised to the sky, the bronze Freedom Fighter embodies the liberty and independence achieved by the people of St. Martin. Slavery in St. Martin ended with the Emancipation Declaration signed on July 1st, 1863 in Curacao.
If you look over here to your right, behind the map, you will see the great historical Salt Pond, and you will hear a little bit more about it in the upcoming audio. Here you can see a salt pond. The salt industry played a starring role in the island's history. Swaliga, meaning land of salt, was the name given to the island by the Arawak Indians. In order to exploit the salt deposits, the Dutch settled the island's southern half, where 3 large salt pans provided as much as 400 boatloads of salt per year. Toil in the salt industry was a very hard life for the workers, who were comprised of not only French and Dutch free citizens, but also children, senior citizens, and of course slaves, all of whom had a different task required to harvest the salt. Salt production was stopped in 1949, thus ending the industry. Here you can see a big green and white building, and this is actually the government building of St. Martin. There is where you will go to pick up important documents, like your passport. The former government building was actually located right across the street, where you see the white tent. But it was destroyed in 2017 by Hurricane Irma, and since then it's turned into much needed extra parking and also a crafts market. So yes, back then, many years ago, St. Martin had a strong salt industry. We called it our white gold. But shortly it did end, and since it ended, St. Martin has focused on tourism. And now today, tourism is St. Martin's main economy. On the left side, you will see tourism, casinos, and definitely nightlife. While on the front side, you will experience tourism as well, but more natural attractions. And something you will not see on the front side are casinos. And this is because gambling is actually illegal on the French side. Now we're going to be crossing a set of colorful booths on the side of the street, and those are very traditional for us. Every time around April, you will definitely see those, and that is the beginning of our carnival. So if you ask when is the next time to come to St. Martin, I would definitely tell you, come for our carnival. And the lucky thing is, we actually have two. There's one on the French side and one on the Dutch side. currently, this is the one for the Dutch side because the one on the French side has ended.
Oh, I see Joanna's in. Hi, Joanna. Thanks for popping in. I'm in St. Martin.
The Dutch first reached San Martin in 1627 and quickly took note of the various salt palms on the island. Salt was a very important commodity, then used to preserve food. The Dutch West Indies companies claimed the island in 1632, and Fort Amsterdam, which we'll see later, was constructed for protection. A small French settlement was also set up at the time, in what is now known as the French Quarter.
So let's tell you a bit more about St. Martin Carnival. So there's a way that we use to express ourselves and include music, food, definitely culture, pageantry, and also competitions. I know some of you are maybe familiar with Carnival in other countries, or maybe some of you have been here for St. Martin Carnival. And if you have, you know it's definitely a beautiful sight. One of my favorite competitions for Carnival is the Calypso competition. Calypso is a genre of music that originated in Trinidad and Tobago, and later on as time passed, it's made its way throughout the entire Caribbean. Calypso music is not just any music, it is a way of life. We speak about love, hardships, just anything along that line. And we base our winner off of who's telling the best story. So it's not just, okay, it's a melody, it sounds nice. We actually care about what you're saying.
Markets on that side, baby. Stars. So their traditional carnival starts a little bit later on in the month. And they said that is a spectacular time to visit St. Martin when they are in their carnival season.
Phillipsburg has long been one of the most important settlements in San Martin. Established in 1763 by Scottish Captain John Phillips, who was serving in the Dutch Navy. The city served as the site of Fort Amsterdam and Fort Willem, which were vital to Holland's navy during the 17th and 18th centuries. Today, Phillipsburg serves as the capital for the country of San Martin. It is the island's largest city with a population of over 1,300 residents. Situated between Great Bay and Salt Pond, the city has a port with cruise ships, and its Front Street shopping area has many boutiques and specialty shops that are worth exploring.
St. Martin. So I'm in St. Martin today. We're on a double-decker bus. This is the second to the last stop on our 7-day cruise on the Norwegian Epic. We have a beautiful day here.
There are 6 casinos in Phillipsburg itself,
it's gonna be warm.
and on the Dutch side of the island there are 14 in total, with no casinos on the French side. You can get your gaming done whether you are a beginner or high roller. There's a casino for every taste, whether you prefer Las Vegas, Monte Carlo, Roman sports or nautical themes. On Front Street there are 2 casinos, Coliseum Casino and Rouge et Noir.
On the Dutch side, we are actually up to 16 casinos, and they want to add 2 more. On the French side, you already know they have 0 casinos, but what they do have are all the nude beaches. So the locals like making a little joke saying,
Okay, so I don't know if you heard that. So on the French side of the island, there's lots of nude beaches. On the Dutch side, there's 16 casinos. So the French side, there's no casino. So I guess that means there's one side that's all about love, one side's all about money.
taste the salt, it actually does not. But we do have few salt prawns here on the island, majority being on the French side, that does produce salt, but it's just not enough for production.
Columbus, the industrious and famous explorer, sighted the island of San Martin on November 11, 1493, claimed it for Spain, and named it Isla de San Martin, after Saint Martin of Tours, whose name day it was. But it wasn't until 1624 that the first Europeans actually set foot on the island. By that time, the island appeared uninhabited, but Amerindians inhabited San Martin Island as far back as 5000 BC. There is evidence that Mesoamericans inhabited the island, arriving in large canoes. In 1986, at the Hope Estate, archaeologists discovered human skeletons, ceramics, tools, and other artifacts that dated back to 560 AD. This discovery marked the most ancient Amerindian village in all of the Caribbean islands.
So that big hill that you see in front of us is called Sentry Hill. And this is where the steepest zip line in the world is located. It is called the Flying Dutchman.
Oh,
You
I
come
didn't know
down
that.
the zip line 80 miles per hour. If you're afraid of heights like myself, we also have a bar and restaurant up there so you can get your liquid courage. At the bottom of the hill sits the Emilio Wilson Park, traditionally a sugar plantation. And once the hill was abolished, Mr. Emilio bought over the land. Since then, it's been an attraction as well, and at the Emilio Wilson Park, you can find a free museum where you can find old artifacts that we've created, like coins, pottery, and even weaponry.
Okay, I'm about 12 minutes into this live. I'm going to pop off for now and then come back in a little later when we get to some of the destinations. Thanks for everyone that tuned in. St. Martin looks really exciting. I think this is one of the more picturesque places that we've stopped, except besides San Juan. You know that everything looks really nice so far, so I'm excited about today. I think it's going to be a great day. We don't have to be back on the ship until 5:30, and then this tour is only going to be 3 hours, so we're going to have a good part of the day that we can mill around and do what we want to do. So all right, popping off for now. Turn it around and say bye.